Good morning, Nabil. It's Monday. So, Nabil, here in the 21st century, we have a lot of different ways to listen to music, such as iPods, CDs, various websites where you can stream music, some legal, some not. And all of these ways are super convenient, and it's super easy. I mean, you can store more music on an iPod than you'll ever be able to buy in your life. At least not me, anyway. Yet, despite this, my favorite way of listening to music is vinyl. There are several reasons why I like it. Probably the first is the tangibility of it. I mean, I can hold this thing in my hand and I can touch it and smell it. It actually has no scent. I mean, just be able to watch this thing spin around on that record and that surface noise just as the needle hits before the song starts. It's fantastic. I just love it. Now, if you're like me, the size of vinyl is one of the biggest attractions of it because I love cover art. Well-made album covers are like works of art, hence the name cover art. But it's just so gorgeous. All CDs can give you that same tangible experience. It's not the same. The size of vinyl gives it an advantage because the cover art is much bigger. For instance, here's the White Stripes' fourth album, Elephant, probably one of their best. It's a fantastic cover, and I owned the CD before I owned the record, and I just love it. I owned the CD before I owned the record, and I love this record. It's so good, and it's a really cool cover too. I don't know if you can see it too well on this camera, but I own this CD, this copy right here, for about 2 years. So I looked at this cover a lot before I finally bought the record, and I bought this, and I noticed so many small details I hadn't noticed before. Like, I don't know if you can see right here, like this rope right here on her foot tied around her ankle, and this little, I don't know how well it shows up, this little skull in the back. I never noticed that, and this string tied around his finger. It's so much clearer, and it's so gorgeous. God, I love this. And another thing, most CDs don't have that vinyl records do. Gatefold covers. Sounds fantastic. The second reason I like vinyl so much is, let me guess, reason number 2 is that vinyl sounds better than everything else like you constantly tell me every day. Well, Hayden, I'm going to have to go into a bit more detail about how vinyl works before I can answer that. Let me put on my smarty glasses.
So the main difference between CDs and MP3 files and vinyl records is that CDs and MP3 files are digital recordings and vinyl is analog. So what does analog really mean? Analog means that there is a continuous signal in which the varying part of the signal is a representation of another time-varying quantity. So when it comes to sound recordings, the instantaneous voltage of the signal varies constantly with the pressure of the sound waves. Basically, the groove of a vinyl record is like a drawing of the sound wave in a single continuous line through the entire side. Your turntable essentially reads that and decodes it in real time, which results in the sound that you hear through the speakers. So, how is it different from digital? Digital signals are not continuous, they're discrete, which means that they send a series of samples of an audio signal's power at precise intervals. Sound doesn't naturally want to break down, so a digital system subdivides it into bits, the smallest possible form of information. This is a binary code, so everything is broken down into one of 2 directives, which is typically described as 1s and 0s. The benefit of binary codes is that by breaking down the information into its smallest possible form, it can represent virtually anything with only 2 elements. So, to imagine this visually, it's like plotting points on graph paper. This sounds terrible, but the reality is that the end result of an analog or digital signal is exactly the same after it's processed through an amplifier and played through speakers. You hear a continuous sound wave. There is no objective way to analyze the end result to determine whether the source was digital or analog, because we can't actually hear digital code or analog voltage fluctuations. So, why do people like the sound of vinyl so much? There are aspects of vinyl records and analog recordings in general that you definitely can notice beyond the pops and crackles of surface noise. Analog aficionados, such as myself, will often attribute a warmth to pure analog sound. The sound is actually the result of analog's limitations in capturing and reproducing sound. Particularly in the low end of the mix, digital recordings are far more accurate than analog recordings in capturing a large, broader dynamic range. Analog recording is much less detailed, and the gaps in data result in a slight abstraction of the sound that can be very pleasing to the ear, actually. You get a very similar difference between images captured on film as opposed to digital cameras, so just think of a picture on your Mac versus like a Polaroid. Purely digital recordings can feel too precise and cold and clinical and lose the warmth and humanity that people often associate with analog technology.
So, to respond to what my roommate just said, yes and no. As far as actual quality goes, digital captures more of a sound, as I stated, but vinyl just has more personality, and I'm all about the personality. So happy to see that vinyl has really, made a comeback. And they're great people, doing new things with the medium, like Jack White. And my God, Nabil, if you ever get a chance, just go online and just search Third Man Records and see all the amazing things he does with vinyl. Like they made this one record that's clear and has blue liquid on the inside, and it like sloshes around and stuff, and it's so great. It's just called the Liquid Filled Vinyl, and it's wonderful. Just a lot of cool stuff like that is being made, and you can't have stuff like that with digital. It's just not as, for lack of a better word, it's just not as romantic of a way to experience music, short of seeing the band live. I just love the medium. Brozel, don't worry, I will get to the challenge soon. I wasn't able to do it today because it's pouring down rain today where I am, and it has been for the past few days, so I'd rather not get my guitar wet. Faith, next challenge is going to come from you. Hopefully you'll be able to get to that by your next video. If not, it's fine. Brozel, I'll see you tomorrow. I almost forgot. Bridget, Faye, welcome to the channel. And I look forward to seeing your videos, and I'll be seeing you whenever it is that I see you.